Hello. Thank you for coming to the Rezzed sessions here at EGX. This is the 1:30 talk. I'm Graham from Rock Paper Shotgun. Talking now is Jeanne Lopez from Black Girl Gamers. She's going to give a talk about gaming culture and how we can make it more accessible and open to everyone. This is Jeanne.
Hi. Oh, that's loud. Hi, everyone. You good? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to apologize straight away. I'm ill, so we're going to run through this. But how is everyone doing? Can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. Good. 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 I like you. Cool. So, as he mentioned, my name is Jeanne Lopez. I run a community called Black Girl Gamers, and I'm here to talk to you about our experiences when it comes to gaming culture, dominant gaming culture. My community has 5,500 black women in it globally, and I run some statistics on that, so we're going to go through that and explain a bit more about that. But first of all, during the week, I stream on Black Girl Gamers on a Sunday, and I'm usually wondering what to play. And when it comes to me, I'm someone that focuses on RPG experiences. I love The Witcher, I love Uncharted, I love Metal Gear Solid. But one problem I find with all of these games is that the video game protagonists tend to be middle-aged, brown-haired, 30-something white males, quite typically. Has anyone noticed this? Am I the only one? No? I see some nods. Okay, good. So this has become so prevalent within the industry that there's a bingo game about it. Can you choose who it is? And obviously we have Joel of The Last of Us here. So this has created part of the culture that we're experiencing, which is the omission of POC. However, nowadays we're seeing more and more characters being revealed. So here at the top left, we have Amani of Paladins, we have Bangalore of Apex Legends, Lifeline of Apex Legends, and obviously recently released yesterday, Senna from League of Legends by Riot. And we'll link into that later. But what we have to bear in mind when it comes to these characters is that tokenism is also a ploy. And I do see it a lot of the time that games want to jump onto the diversity wave, and they want to tick this box, but we're not thinking about, is this an authentic representation of this person of color? Is this an authentic representation of them? And is it in balance with other white male characters? There are still not many prevalent franchise games with people of color as the protagonist. The one that comes to mind right now is Mirror's Edge with Faith. But other than that, like I mentioned, Nathan Drake has how many games? Geralt of Rivia has how many games underneath his name? So as I mentioned, representation is key for all, not just black, not just white, not just POC, but everyone, especially when it comes to gender as well. So I recently went to LA, to the Computer Science Museum, and I went to the gaming section, of course, as you do, to find out who's in there. We're going to play a game of Who Is That? We're in EGX, we have to play a game. So the first person, I want to see if anyone knows who that is. Anyone know who this is? No one? Okay. No one. There we go, Ralph Baer, yes. Ralph Baer is the inventor of the Magnavox Odyssey, the first video game console, or one of them. And he was mentioned in the museum. Moving on. Who is this? I know someone in this character should know this person. Will Wright, well done. What did he create? The Sims, yes. Creator of SimCity, The Sims, co-founder of Maxis, now part of EA. Funny fact, actually. When Will Wright was pitching his game to his board, remember Jeff Braun told people that Dollhouse games were for girls and girls didn't play video games. Well, clearly I'm on the stage today. So that's not accurate, but that is something that kind of got instilled into gaming culture up until this day. Who is this? Anyone? No? He wasn't in the museum, I'll tell you that. Anyone else? No? This is Jerry Lawson. He's the inventor of the commercial video game characters, and the designer of the Fairfax Channel video game system, which is one of the systems that's heralded in this museum. Will was in the museum. Ralph was in the museum. Jerry wasn't in the museum. So again, another part of dominant gaming culture is the omission of not just characters, but of people of color's contribution towards the gaming industry as well. So what are the effects of dominant gaming culture? So as I mentioned, I ran a study on my community of 511 women. So take that in mind, that's the sample size. Over 65% of my community that I sampled had experienced racism whilst gaming. Does anyone know why it's 65% and maybe not higher? Can anyone think about why that is? No? Yeah, so that's a good point. No, yeah, exactly. No, that's definitely right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it is geographically distributed as well, but also the fact that a lot of the racism happens over voice chat, and sometimes you can't tell where someone's from just by their voice. However, oopsie, that's mine, sorry. That's actually something I experienced whilst streaming. So the comment on the stream was a surprise of like you can even work the way around the computer. Is it mash or banana? These are the kind of comments that people get when streaming, and a lot of the time, you know, it's passed under the radar. These are real life experiences, something that happened to me, and is a reason why I created the community as well. Again, incidents like this, where a man was charged with racist, homophobic spam bots on Twitch, gaming stream site faces 10 years in jail. These are real experiences that people are having, and it's a part of the culture that we tend to not, we're trying to discuss more, but it's still very, in a quite timid way. Over 82% of the community that I sampled experienced sexism, and that comes into the point where people can tell you're a woman, but they can't always tell where you're from when you're over the voice chat, and that's a super high number. So we got to think about this when we're creating our games, creating our communities, and who we're associating ourselves with as well. So when I asked a BGG member to comment on the sexism, you know, events like Gamergate should never have happened. And the result of this, of the sexism and the racism that my community members have experienced, is that over 70% of the member samples said they felt apprehensive about experiencing this whilst they game online. So essentially they're fearful of gaming online, which should never be an emotion associated with a hobby that you're essentially happy to do. So this is a form of misogynoir, which is a word coined by feminist Moya Bailey, And it's basically the intersection between race and gender when they both play a role in bias. And this creates the unicorn effect. If more people are scared to stream and game online, less people do it. And therefore, less people think POC, specifically in my experience, a black woman is a gamer. So people call us unicorns or think we're very rare, when we're not. It says here, in terms of data that I've pulled from a Quartz article on the incoming, the next couple of years, what gamers are going to look like, over 75% of US teens that play video games are African American, higher than any other demographic at the moment. So when we're targeting marketing campaigns and communities and people, we need to take into consideration that these are the people you should also be targeting. They also consume games. So just to give you a little bit about my community, BGG is something I founded in 2014. We have 5,500 black women in the community. We work with Twitter, Facebook. We've done talks at CBS Diversity Day. We've done quite a few things, and we have our own events as well. Again, we're present on all of these platforms. We make digital content, articles, offline and online events, and panels. So this was our panel in January at the V&A Museum, talking about changing games behind the scene and also the DIY generation, people who are creating platforms, to tackle the gap in diversity, the gap in gender pay, and all of that stuff within gaming. So some comments about the feedback, essentially. Essentially, it's well received. Again, we have our event that we hope to foster safe spaces for POC and everyone, essentially, to come and game, called Pass the Pad, which is in partnership with Belong Gaming Arena. You can foster these relationships where you see people who are not deemed the typical gamer to come into spaces and game. We raise money for grassroots organizations such as Black Girl Code. Black Girls Code is an organization that helps young black girls to understand how to code so that they can then become the coders and programmers of the games for tomorrow and the future. These are the kind of things that communities and platforms and publishers should be doing to change the landscape. The reasons why people join BGG is that over 60% of the members said they joined to avoid misogynoir. Over 88% said that their gaming experience was improved by being in the BGG community by 90%. Some community feedback. This is, fostering a community and fostering these relationships is really beneficial. You've got to think about POC and gaming. So what can be done? I strongly believe that both consumers and companies are responsible for the gaming culture that we experience. We know it's toxic, and we do need to fix it. Talk to grassroots communities, like myself, and pay us for our time. This is something that's really key. There's Black Girl Gamers, there's London Gamers, there's I Need Diverse Games, there's Gamers X. There's loads of communities out here that need support, whether you're a consumer or a company. Again, use consultants and focus groups more. Use that as part of your research strategy to understand what you don't know. Diversify your workforce. This is something that's really key. And as I mentioned earlier during the talk, there was a picture of Senna from Riot Games, from League of Legends, who's just been released. 10 years it took to get a black female character in League of Legends. 10 years, that's a very long time. And this was the work of Angela Roseborough, who's the Chief Diversity Officer of Riot Games. She was also Chief Diversity Officer of Dropbox, and she has 20 years of experience in D&I. Bringing people like this into the industry and into the gaming company is really essential. Joyce Adelowoye Adams, she was the former Global Diversity Director at King, and also former Global Director of Diversity at the BBC as well. Research. You don't know what you don't know, and also research what you think you know. I've met someone, he was a game coder, and he wanted to code an African-American in his game. And he was asking me, I'm British, I don't know the African-American experience. So, and we cannot go with what we take in the media. We have to understand, do focus groups, understand people on a more nuanced level. As I mentioned, research can unhinge unconscious bias, meaning better representation. That feedback will go back into your research and into your game development, into your character development, so that you know, for instance, Lucio should not have an American accent and still should be speaking Portuguese if he's an Afro-Brazilian. Promote values as well as your game. This is something that my community does quite well. We promote values. We are anti-homophobic, anti-transphobic. You don't have to just promote your game. You can also promote the values that you want your community to adhere to. It's another marketing strategy that you could actually put in if you thought about it really well. So values such as inclusivity, understanding, cooperation. Talk about these things. It's easy to do. I think a lot of people are quite timid, and that's why my platform has become quite popular, because it's been quite outspoken. Stop supporting problematic streamers, and yes, I'm including Ninja in that. So many streamers get in trouble, and there's a lack of retribution for that. It always makes the headlines, and we never see a change in the treatment that these people get. They're still at the top. But we don't see the POC streamers who are not problematic getting the same kind of support. Again, PewDiePie, Ninja, homophobic slurs. And see, some of these are pros, esports pros. If this is your job, you have to take more care about what you're saying outside into the real world. So obviously Fortnite as well. So we do this at BGG as well. We vet the streamers we associate our brand with. So if we have a BGG streamer that wants to become part of the BGG Twitch team or the team, we vet who they are. We ask you, are you willing to adhere to these rules before you stream? if you come out with homophobic slurs or anti-black rhetoric, we will pull you off and you will never come back. Because just because we're Black Girl Gamers doesn't mean there aren't problematic people within the community, but we vet them first. And I think that needs to be done. A lot more vetting in the gaming community. Support events and communities, again, rather than lurking for insight, which is what I found a lot of companies do, as opposed to asking directly a question. Learn as well. When you connect with organizations such as London Gamers, Melanin Gamers, the Cookout, I Need Diverse Games, what you gain is this perspective right here. Personal connection to your market. It's not a transactional experience. You can show your fact that you value the company or value the causes, and you're trying to support pushing gaming in a more progressive direction. Monitor your communities, as I mentioned already. Make sure your values are explicit. Call out problematic behavior. And basically, at the end of the day, I feel like with gaming, we're coming to this time where it's changing. We're becoming more vocal about it having a sexist, racist, homophobic undertone. But we also need to be a bit more proactive in the fact that we want to shape the future of gaming to be inclusive and not just sit by the bylines and let other people fight our battles for us. We all have to step up. So this is where you can find the Black Girl Gamers, and thank you for listening. I hope that helps. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm super sick.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Jay? Don't look.
There we go. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
With, say, like YouTube,
Yeah.
they keep promoting PewDiePie.
Yeah.
What do you think could be done? Do you think there needs to be, obviously you couldn't say stuff like that on television because there are government rules.
Right, exactly.
There are actual bodies in place to stop that. Obviously you can't control the internet, but do you think there should be some sort of government body set up to monitor what's happening?
I don't feel like there shouldn't be some kind of structure around it. So, for instance, if, I know we have Trump in office and he says a lot of rubbish, but, when people get on the internet, Twitter then will ban you. There's things in place for you to take a punishment for your actions. So I do feel that there should be some kind of structure around it. I also feel like it comes down to the companies that endorse these people as well. If they continue to endorse them, these people don't lose their standing with other companies and with their market. So yes, I do feel like there should be some kind of structure in place. I know you can't change what people upload, but you can take it down, you can ban them. But there's a reluctance there to do that. And that's where we need to kind of talk to these companies, which I try to do, about why have you let this still remain on the platform and be allowed? Because you're setting a precedent for any other person to do the exact same thing. So yeah, I do feel like there should be a structure. Whether it will be a governmental body, I'm not sure. But a structure should definitely be in place. Thank you. Short question now. You can't see me.
I really enjoyed your talk. It was really good.
Thank
what
you.
do you think about people that forgive people like PewDiePie and all that? What do you think there's an argument about people changing and whatever?
I mean, I go by people's behaviors. Until you prove to me that you have changed, I don't buy it. There was a young boy who went to VideoCon, and the fact that he went dressed up as a YouTuber's video apology just shows that video apologies are, very common, and people go and do the same behavior. I don't police what people do. If you want to watch PewDiePie, you want to watch Ninja, you want to watch these streamers, that's all on you. But what I can do is take responsibility for my own actions and the actions of my community and not endorse these people, not give them my money, not give them my views and my support. And I think that as the conversation progresses, we'll become a bit more honest about what we're allowing to happen. But gaming and streaming is quite a young and quite an anonymous as well industry where people haven't really had the courage to go into the depths of discussing a racial issue properly. So I won't forgive them personally, and if someone does, I can't say anything to you, but I won't expect someone who's for the cause to do so without properly analyzing those actions moving forward. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yep.
Hello, thanks for
Hi.
your talk.
Thank you.
My question had to do with the fact that you're here in Eurogamer at the moment, and there are a lot of other bigger players like the Sonys, the Nintendos, those kind of people. And I know that they keep talking about trying to monitor their social media channels on their consoles, on their websites, and using things like AI or whatever to sort of, monitor that. Do they actually talk to communities like yourself? Or do you have any opportunity to talk to them in this kind of event?
What I'll say is a work in progress. Because, because of how I am, I'm quite candid. And a lot of people can't take that. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like, especially in America, it's different. The British market is slightly more timid about talking about race and sexism moving forward. I'm being honest. In America, they're much more receptive to what I do. Here, we're getting more and more into it. But I do feel like, again, that's why the slide was there. Talk to grassroots communities. I'm here to be talked to. I'm here to give my insight and my input. I'm happy to. But the communication isn't as strong as you would expect it to be for companies that want to progress diversity. And I'm saying that from BGG's perspective. But talking about other communities, I can't talk about their experiences, but only my own. And I would expect it to be more. But, it's what it is. One more over there.
Hi.
Oh, hey, I love your cosplay. Hey,
Thank you. So my question is, what has been the best tactic, or if there has been a can you hear me?
Yeah, come to
So
us.
what has been the best tactic to basically attract more black women or other minority groups into your community?
So this is something that's so interesting to me. So it's the name. I specifically called it Black Girl Gamers for a reason, because I wanted to attract black women in gaming, because I know so many black women shared the same experience with me, as you could see with the data. And I get so many questions, aren't you scared that companies won't work with you? If they don't work with me, I'm still going to make an impact. I'm here giving a talk. So the name, the content we put out, so like BGG Spotlights, we do streams. The people we have in our community, we have Ebonic Sims right here who makes amazing stuff. We have amazing people in our community, and they're attracted by people like that. The fact that we try and nurture the community, it's been around for 4 or 5 years almost. So attracting it is quite simple. The name is basically the first frontier. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for your talk. I'm sorry I showed up a little bit late.
Oh, it's all right.
You were mentioning about supporting other black streamers. Are there any names you recommend of YouTubers
Stand up,
or
Danny.
Twitchers
Stand up.
for people to have a look at and support?
Stand up. Danny is a Ebonic Sim. She was featured on BBC Africa recently for creating custom content for The Sims. She has millions of downloads. That's someone you could support. There's people like X Mirror Mirror. There's BGG. We have our own platform. There's so many, and we actually promote them quite frequently on our stream, on our Twitch. So again, if you follow us, there's a huge community of them. There's other communities like the Cookout and stuff you can support as well. But if you follow me, I'll give you some names if you really want to support. That's fine.
Anyone else?
No?
No? Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Jay.